Hello friends, welcome to When I'm High. Creativity is the topic for today's episode, as you probably saw in the title. We hear this all the time. Marijuana makes you more creative. But does it? I think this topic is up for a lot of debate.
I don't know if this is true or biased or if she has some agenda, but my teacher was saying that no, it is a myth that pot makes you more creative. It just makes you think you're more creative.
I've never been one to get super creative when I'm stoned. It affects my creativity after.
Yeah, it definitely does allow access to a new mode of thought.
Something will strike me, an idea will strike me, or an event will happen, and I will reflect positively into that. And I know for a fact that I can go, oh yeah, I can get high about that later, and then make something happen that I'll be happy with.
It's dark at night, and I'll get in a hot bathtub, and I'll put earplugs in my ears, so there's a little bit of a sense deprivation, and just see where my mind takes me. I sort of feel like my mind lights up, and I'm using more of my brain cells, or something is happening in there, and I get an idea for this, then I get an idea for that.
It's really about being relaxed in your skin to let your thoughts be there. So I don't think you're any more creative or any more one way or the other, but I think that it's just one of probably many things that let you tap into that or that let you express it.
I feel I can be very creative conceptually still just on a day-to-day basis. But then when it comes to actually getting all of it done, then that's when I like to be high, because I then can focus on those steps or alleviate these steps that probably aren't necessary to get to this thing that you're trying to get to. And again, not so fixated on what the end result is going to be. It's just that how mellow and kick-ass and excited and ecstatic can I be about trying to get to this conceptual idea.
Sometimes I feel like it's hard to find that creative spark. And literally if you spark your bowl, you might be able to find that spark a little bit easier. So, but it also can be distracting. You can smoke a doob and then the thing you were hoping to be creative about isn't there. And your brain didn't go there, but then you're super creative about this other thing that you didn't realize was on that agenda that night.
There are several times where I'll go, okay, or I've got to draw a storyboard, and I'll sit at the kitchen table and I'll have my pencil and piece of paper, and I'll go down the basement and smoke a little bit and come back and start drawing, and it's a lot of fun.
I'm not the most artsy person, but I always feel that when I smoke, I'm always inclined to, doodle or whatnot.
I think smoking pot helps painting because, you get into the color and you get into the form and you get into the movement of the brush.
Playing music in front of a crowd, I think it definitely helps you slot into your role and then just have fun with that.
Marijuana helps to, lower that wall of that writer's block and, open up the gates to creativity. I definitely think it does.
If it can allow you to create something that's markedly different than you would have otherwise, that's a form of birth of creation of something that I guess is new. And it is, I guess, a way to tap into a sort of new thought.
When you're stoned and doing those creative things, I think you're more in tune with what you're doing, and there's certain inhibitions, I think, that you don't really have. You're less self-conscious, maybe.
My judgmental mind is very large when it comes to doing things, my own stuff. I'm very judgy on what I do, and when I'm high, I don't judge that, so I feel more creative. And the next day when I go to listen to it or look at it or whatever, I'm also less judgmental of it because I also realized I was high, and I also had such a good time in there that it was such a great event for me that, that's the part that matters. And again, I'm less judgmental of what happens.
So yeah, I think it helps, but I don't think it's not doing anything different than any other kind of stimulus that gets you into your creative center does.
I know that my work when I'm stoned is better because I review it when I'm sober, and I still feel the same way about it.
It's not there's a difference between the art someone produces when they're high versus the art someone produces when they're not high. I think that same person could produce that same work high or not.
It's important stay a little sober so that you have perspective on yourself when you're stoned.
It was in them all along. I don't think the drug didn't create anything. Person did it. So
for me personally, I find that for the most part, I hit the nail on the head a lot better when I do something stoned and review it when I'm sober.
I think it's a different kind of creativity, being sober or being stoned. I don't think that you should rely on weed to be creative. Your soul and your spirit is always more pure when you are yourself. As fun as it is, and it's like funny, like, I can smoke some weed and like make up some shit. It's cool that you can do a lot of cool things that way too, but I don't think that it should be the only way to be creative. I've definitely had major breakthroughs creatively and spiritually dead sober. So I think while weed does amazing things for creativity, well, so does heroin, so does coke. I mean, do you want to do those things to be creative, or do you want to just be creative in all aspects of your life? You know, I've done some really cool things while being high musically, and I've done some really cool things dead sober musically, and I don't ever want to give either one of those things up. I think they're both important.
So it seems that there are no hard, fast rules about cannabis and creativity, just like with all of these other topics we've already looked at. I personally find this very fascinating. Do you consider yourself to be creative? How does cannabis play a part in that, if at all? Do you need it to be creative? Or maybe it brings out a different form of creativity. Feel free to tell me your thoughts on this subject via the various contact methods in the episode description: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, email. Rate and review, and please share with anyone who you think might enjoy this weird little podcast. In the next episode, we will talk about how conversations change when you're high.